Good morning, everybody. That was a nice way to come on. Just need to sit with that for a moment. Every year we do this thing called the River and Parkway Cleanup. It's a way of taking water. It's basically this expression inside of us that says we have enough that we can give to random strangers who use the parkway system and make it clean, take away all the needles, take away all the garbage, the grocery carts, the spare underwear, the things we find is epic. This last year, we were doing the cleanup, and I was walking around just chatting with people, and I walked up to a woman I'd never really met before. I'd seen her at Friends Church, but I didn't really know her. And so we're chatting away. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And I can tell she's a little distracted. And my thought is probably, I just said something weird, whatever. I don't know what the problem was. It didn't really dawn on me until a couple months later. She reached out and asked me to go for coffee. She said, I want to share my story with you. I said, okay. It's pretty normal in my role. And she sits down. We were in the library over there. She comes into the library, sits down, and she says, Kay, do you remember that day we talked while we were taking water, cleaning the parkway? She said, do you remember I was a little distracted? And I was like, yeah, actually, I do remember that. She said, there's a reason why. Can I tell you? Of course. As I stood there and you were standing in front of me, when I looked over your shoulder, there was a break in the trees and I could see the river. I used to be homeless, and I would wash my clothes right in that little spot in the river right there. That's where I'd have my bath. Nicole, can you throw up the picture for her? That's her daughter, Alex. She's sitting in front of me. This lovely woman who I'm like, and she's like, I used to be homeless. I used to live right in that park, and it was so emotional for me to clean where I used to live. She said, like many of us, I grew up, life wasn't easy. My family was tough. My mom and my stepdad, I couldn't get the attention I wanted from them or needed from them. I couldn't get the love I needed from them. She said, I kind of had to take care of myself. And she said, through all that, I struggled a lot, and I was bullied at school, but to take care of myself, I got a job, which gave me money. And very quickly I learned, money gets you attention. She said, we'd go to parties, and I'd have money to buy alcohol, and I'd bring the alcohol. Suddenly everyone's like, hey, Nicole's here. Started buying other things. She said, I was part of the DARE generation. I never wanted to take drugs. But I found out pretty quickly that when I was a bit high, I was a bit more social at a party. That felt pretty good. People used to come to me at school and be like, are you high right now? And she's like, whether it was or not, it was the attention I got, the connection with people. They no longer saw me as that person they need to bully and make fun of. Now I had status. I had something. I mattered. Drugs became a way to get the love that I wanted. She started dating a guy who was her dealer. She said one day, I think it was just after high school, he invited her to a party with some of his friends. It was in this kind of sketchy area. She walked in, and there was a meth pipe. She's like, Vince, I swear to you, I never, ever wanted to do drugs. But that day I became a meth addict. A year later, I was living on the side of the river, the Bow River, washing my clothes right where we're cleaning. I got pregnant while I was homeless. Her daughter, Alex, she said something. It's like, I have to change my life. I have to fix this. She started working. She got off the streets. She got off drugs. She went back to school, got an education. She first lived with family, which was tricky, but then she found a way to live on her own. In fact, the reason she's not here telling you this story today is because this summer she moved to Ontario to take a job as a sales manager for a major corporation. look at how far she has come. From a meth addict living on the streets, homeless, to this. At first, I was just flabbergasted. I was just like, I don't even know what to say. And then something blossomed in me. Look at how far she came. Look at how far we humans can come. From, in her words, she didn't have much longer to live, living the way she was before, to this. And if she can do that, what can I do? If she can go from living on the streets as a meth addict to this, to an incredible mother, to a sales manager, to an incredible human being who wants to share her story to inspire other people. If she can do that, what could I do? If I could do like 10% of that, half my problems are gone. If you could do half of what she could do, think of what you could become. Oh, I love the stories that give me hope. I love the story that when I'm sitting in my little pity party at home and I'm like, it's too hard, I can't do this. Meth addict to sales manager. Okay, Clausen, get your little pity party over again and then let's get to work. Because look what we can do as humans. Look at what our choices can do. Look at the health we can come to. To me, that gives me hope. Now we're in this series called Blessed Are the Peacemakers. It's a quote from Jesus. It was attributed to Jesus. He has these it's called the Beatitudes. It starts with blessed be. It's the old school way of saying it. And the way it started with this series, and me and Jeff traded. I had 3 messages in a row, and I thought, what do I want to preach about for 3 weeks? And I usually went to, well, what stuff do I need to work on? And I realized that what Jesus is talking about is what we've been exploring. There's this way of looking at our world. It's just a model. It's not true. It's just helpful. So don't think this is somehow the gospel. This is just a model. But it starts off with this idea of, at the beginning of our lives, we have to figure out who we are and who the people around us are. Differentiation. And if you don't do this, it's kind of like your life starts to wobble. You don't have this solid foundation. You have to figure out, okay, who am I? What do I like? What do I don't like? All these kind of things. And then who are they? But the problem is most of the time it gets turned against each other. I like dirt biking. My wife likes flower designing. Well, what do you mean you like flower design? You should come dirt biking with me. What do you mean you like dirt bike? Why don't we go see flowers? Right? I against they. You've all felt this. The idea is we don't win together. One of us wins or the other one wins. But for one to win, the other has to lose. And so we do all kinds of things. We ignore the them. Some of us make war on our own eyes, so we don't ever know who we are. We just become whoever people want us to be, people-pleasing. Now, the spiritual journey, I think, inspires us. I think what Jesus is trying to say is, hey, there's more. Peacemaking is pushing yourself up the model to this idea of we. We take care of each other. We don't let you lose for me to win or me to lose for you to win. No. We say, how do we do this together? Our boss says to us, hey, I need you to do this. And you're like, well, that's totally cool. Can we do this to make it work for me? And they're like, yes, actually we could. That's we. I against them is, you sack of crap, you're doing it because I told you to. That's when you quit the job and they have to look for new people right away, right? Peacemaking is pushing it up. And so the question then becomes, what skills do we need to know to be able to push ourselves up the model? Once we get into this healthy we can go above that, and we call it taking water. It's like we have so much inside of us that it spills out like water. Like there's a well inside of us, and we bless people around us. We do things for people. We don't even need anything in return. We go to the park and we clean it up because we'll make it better for some people. We'll never meet them. We'll never talk to them. They'll never thank us. We don't care. It's taking water. And Jesus' line says, blessed are the peacemakers. Now, we've been exploring all kinds of different lines for this, right? But there's one that I realized, if we don't understand, if we don't hold it in our hearts, it's like I can tell you all the different things to do. We can explore all the different skills, and we'll do this many of them. 0. We won't do anything. So what's the core skills? So there's all these skills, but there's one that's inside of them all. And it comes from this line that Jesus says. He says, blessed are the peacemakers, and then he has a whole bunch of other ones. He said, blessed are the poor. Blessed are the poor? Does that make sense to anyone? I just told you a story about Nicole. She's poorer than poor than poor. How is that blessed? I sat with this one for a couple weeks until I realized this is a quote from something earlier. Jesus is quoting something from his tradition, just like I'm quoting from Jesus. He has this story. Now, to understand, you need to understand, does anyone remember the Fearmonger series we did about heaven and hell? Was anyone here for that? That one, man, it changed how I read the Bible like very few things have in the last little while. I thought a master's degree was enough to get me to understand this stuff. No, change it. The idea is that Jesus in his time, again, when we think about afterlife, heaven, hell, that stuff, we're thinking of Dante, a poet. He made this crazy poem up about hell. That's what we think. Jesus' era thinks about it differently. The formal name for it is apocalyptic Judaism. Try that one at your next dinner party. It's going to be a showstopper. Apocalyptic Judaism. Apocalyptic means a change, a massive change. Now, in our movie-going stuff, apocalyptic always means change to the bad. It doesn't need to mean that. It can mean change to the good. And the idea was this. They did this incredible spiritual thing, religious thing. They separated out good and evil into 2 camps. Up until this point, if good happened, God sent it to you. If bad happened, God sent it to you. Their conception of God was, whatever good and bad happens to you, it's God. At this point, just before Jesus, they separated it out. I know this seems really basic. Life-changing. Good happens, it's from God. Bad happens, it's from the devil. Now we can blame somebody. And now, up until this point, here's the thing. Can you throw up this slide for me? Now, I screwed this up. I apologize. I made this late last night. Thank you. This is the way it's supposed to start. On the team of good, we have God. God runs the good team. Team evil, the devil. Got it? Now, God leading the good team currently should be all these good things. But it's not. This is how they explained bad things happen to good people. Team good was having death, sickness, suffering, and loneliness. And they're like, what the heck is this all about? And team evil was having health, prosperity, relationships, and money. So why be good? Right? Good just gets crap. Bad gets you all the good stuff. So here's the thing, and this is the transformation. When the authors say Jesus came and died and came back to life, what are they saying? This is super important. This is going to get us back to the beginning. It says that team evil and all the good stuff going to them, it's going to switch. Blessed are the poor. The poor, remember, the poor are the people on team good who are currently living bad lives because everything bad's happening to them. But if you believe, if you have hope, this will shift. Jesus, the first person who is good and beats death. It means that this thing's switching now. If you're good, if you're poor, all these things, you're going to get good things. Hope. Hope that the world is going to go the way it should, where team good gets good things, team bad gets bad things. Super important, because you don't get this if you don't have hope. Blessed are the poor who have hope. Hope is an incredibly powerful thing. Anyone rock climb? Any kids rock climbs? Any rock climbers in the room? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not too many of you, but come on. Super good sport, good for your health. I do this style of climbing called bouldering. I did it for years, probably 10 years. Every week we'd climb or go to the gym. We'd hang out. The bouldering is specific because it's not very high. You don't use ropes. And it's unbelievably hard. You try and make it as hard as you can. So it's like 3 moves, but they're like 1 finger pocket to like this massive thing with like, it's insanely hard. I've torn so many tendons and wrecked so many parts of my body doing this. But it's fun. But I learned something about hope. There'd be this moment where you start, it doesn't show up, but you actually start bouldering most of the time down on the ground like this, on these little holds, and you lift your body up off this little thing and you're hanging there. And the next hold is like 10 feet up. That's what it feels like. It's so high. Like I reach here, there's no way I can catch it. It's another like foot above my hand, maybe 2 feet. And so for the first hour, we all get into this little position. We lift our butts off the ground because that's how you have to start. And then we're like this. And we're like, we can't do it. The next guy goes up, doesn't do it, doesn't even get close. We do this for like an hour. I don't know, we're kind of crazy, but whatever. Until there's a moment. One person, I never know why, but one person does something different. And they go up and they get close. They like maybe touch the hold. They can't get their fingers around it. They can't get their finger into the pocket, but they touch the hold. And something shifts in every one of our brains. This went from down here, impossible. There's just no way. Like it's so ridiculously high. To, we can do this. Within like 2 tries, half of us got it. How is it that after an hour of climbing, we're exhausted, our hands are beat up, we have like, they call them flappers, where you basically tear the edge of your skin off. We're just like a hot mess. And suddenly, we go from hardly being able to do half the move to being able to stick it. What changed? We saw another human being get close enough that we went, I think this can be done. We have hope. Hope is like a superpower. I remember sitting there watching and being like, this makes no sense to my brain. But I watched the power. I can show you guys all the skills I want. Jeff, these incredible conversation pieces that you talked about the last couple of weeks. Without hope that you can get out of I against them into we, without that, good luck. You'll try one little thing, the person won't react badly. You're like, see, I do it. They suck. There's no way I can do this. I suck. What? It's like a boulderer who's looking at the next hole going, there's no way. Have a spicy conversation. Yeah, do you know how that goes? That's life without hope. You look at yourself and you go, there's no way I can learn that. And then you hear a story of Nicole living as a meth addict, homeless on the side of the river. Within years, she has now educated herself, created a home for her and her daughter, has become a sales manager, and you go, oh my, I just saw someone touch the next hold. If she can do that, what can you do? The reason I told you her story is I wanted you to see somebody touch the next hold. In fact, I wanted you to see someone touch a hold that's so far above the hold you're looking at that you're going, okay, there is hope. Hope with skill. changes the world. Hope with skill takes you from I against them, and I'm stuck there and there's nothing we can do, into this beautiful space of we and into taking water. That's what hope can do with skill. There's a couple from our community, been together for decades. They were stuck in I against them. They had been married, they'd had kids, their kids were already adults. And you could just see it. Whenever you're around them, it's kind of like, there's some couples you just want to hang out with. Other couples, you kind of do this to them, like, you kind of make me nervous. They were the nervous kind. You never knew when the I against them was going to kick in. It was like, you're going to say that? Ugh. That's your partner and you talk to them that way? They couldn't figure out how to get out of the I against them. They couldn't figure out how to get to the we. And they'd been living like that for decades. They'd even gone to counseling. They couldn't figure it out. When I started to get to know them better, I knew the husband probably better than the wife. They were just starting a separation. And not a trial separation. A burn the ships separation. Separate our money, sell our house, buy 2 different houses. Any of you who've been through a divorce, and I have, I know the pain of being stuck in I against them and feeling like there's nothing I can do to get out of this. And all the dreams and all the things you wanted in your life when you got married die. It's over. They went on their lives separately. Years. Found other people. There was love there, but no skill. They were locked in this framing of either you win or I win, but we don't both win, until something horrible happened. One of their kids had an accident. Life-threatening accident. Life-threatening, and if they live, this will be with them for the rest of their lives. Accident. Any parent knows this is not what you want to hear. They would have to come together, even as separate. They're separate, right? But they had to come together and go, how do we take care of this child that we both would take a bullet for? How do we support them? And something happened. Something in that call of that death moment from their child said, we have to figure out something, we have to figure this out. I don't think it was conscious. I think it was the moment, jammed them into it. I against them wouldn't work. They needed everything they had to support the child. A couple weeks later, I was in the drive-thru at Popeyes in Forest Lawn before they put a Popeyes near mine. How do I know that? I don't know. Whatever. I was at Popeyes getting some supper. And I got a call. Vince, yeah? We're getting back together. No effing way. I was like, dude, are you punking me right now? There is no way. Decades of paper cuts, decades. You know when people say their relationship is a dumpster fire? No. It's like a decades of paper cuts, they're bleeding, and then someone poured gas on them and lit them on fire, and we've been roasting marshmallows for 3 years on that sucker. That's where this relationship was. It was done, dead. Nothing. Something shifted. Now, this is the part where you want me to say, it was perfect. No. Decades of bad behavior, decades of pain and suffering, decades of resentment. And when you think about terms of all the different ways relationships can fall apart, families that have been poor to you for so long, friendships that you haven't talked to for years, colleagues, partners, kids, all this stuff that's broken relationship and creating this I against them and breaking us apart. They lived all of that. They had times when it was like, I'm watching that thing. I tell you folks, I would not have bet 25 cents that they'd make it. Seriously. I was like, there's no way this sucker's going to come around. There's no way. Maybe I was projecting. But I watched them. Sometimes, man, they would be in the dumpster and be like, whoa, 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 stop. Okay, we're a team. How do we live as a team? Their child recovered. Still needs support, but not as much as it used to. They have worked their butts off to figure out a new way to be together. To get out of the I against them. To do this work of peacemaking, this spiritual work to push us up the model into we. And again, when they screw it up, they're like, I'm sorry, I went back into that place again. That was old patterns, old habits. And again, those suckers were deep inside of them. At one point, I started to get hope. I said to the husband, dude, if you pull this off, I'm not saying you're going to pull this off, but if you pull this off, you swear to me you're going to write a book about this because we all want to know how you did it. I reached out this week and said, hey, can I share your story? They said, yeah. And then I got this text from the husband. He says, I'm also more in love with her than I've ever been. The relationships that we have that feel stuck. The relationships where it feels like there's a dumpster fire and it's just I against them and it's nothing but war. That's where they were. And now, they're more in love than they've ever been. Hope. If your relationships right now, like some of mine are not in the we. They're stuck in the I against them. Old wounds, resentments, whatever. You can feel it. Or the other one. You just keep feeling yourself turning it down. Where am I? I don't know. What do I want? I don't know. If they can pull this thing out of the fire, so can we. That's what hope says. That's what Jesus, I think, is trying to say. Trust, believe that things can get better. We've been talking the whole summer. Jeff talked about spicy conversations. How do you come back when you're an I against them? How do you start to bridge the gap and say, wait a second, there's stuff we need to work on. I need to bring something up with you. Without hope, you won't do it. But if they can do it, maybe if you bring up that conversation, maybe it will go well. You'll start to bridge the gap. We talked about controlling our anger. Not blaming. Oh, I love the blaming. I can point a finger faster than anyone's business. What just happened? I don't know, but it's their fault. What are we talking about? Oh, wait, that was me. No, you didn't trigger me. I haven't been working on my triggers. You didn't say the thing that made me angry. I have problems with my anger. I haven't been doing the things that calm me. Can you feel the difference? But it only works with hope. If you believe we can actually move our way up this model. Relationships can actually be in this we. If you're stuck in this place where it's like, dude, I don't know what happy world you're living in, but this isn't reality. Do you know my marriage? Do you know my family? It's only there. And I'm saying, yes, but it could be better. The reason I told you these stories today is I showed you a woman who went from, I don't even know how long, but in a really dark place, not heading to someplace healthy. a meth addict, homeless, bathing in the river, living in a tent, to an incredible human being. If she can do it, have hope that you can do it. Then I showed you a couple, and you can fill in whatever blank, family, blah, 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 whose relationship was a dumpster fire. They were so stuck in I against them, they were making a new category. He is the villain. She is the villain. It's her fault. It's his fault. If they can pull it out of the dumpster and rebuild something beautiful in the we, I'm like, give me another freaking shot at my first marriage. Jeez. What could I have done with hope and skill? Friendships exist to inspire you, inspire me. Feels like I have a counseling session up here and then I just share it with y'all. Friendships exist to inspire me to move up this model, to figure out who I am and who they are, figure out how to way to do it. Man, I tell you, all the stories I've heard, I've told you guys, but for me, it's the moments I've heard inside my soul. I can feel it with my wife now. We have a moment, and instead of going right to I against them, I'm like, wait a second, there's a Jesus moment here, right? Sometimes it's, okay, I screwed that up, but I know that I screwed that up. Let me apologize, and can we try that again? The difference. Why didn't I learn this earlier? And the amount of energy it takes when you're an I against them, holy crap. For all of you who are there right now, I know your pain, the amount of energy that takes out of you. It sucks you dry. There's like nothing left for anything else. Water, good luck. I got to take care of me. When you can move out of that into the difference in the energy of your life, your spirituality, we call it a well. It's like you've been living with this empty well because you have to drink so much just to stay alive. When you can move it out of that, it's like the well fills up and it starts spilling out and you're just looking around you going, okay, who can I bless? Who can I make better? Oh yeah, I can take care of that. Oh yeah, start a nonprofit? No problems. You need a sock project? Done. What do you need? Tell me that doesn't sound better than I against them. If they can do it, have hope that you can too. Vince, if they can do it, have hope that you can too. Amen. Have a great week, everybody. See you next week.